I would actually love it if someone would just change the Flames prophecy, and preferably sooner rather than later.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I am your host, Jess Belmosto, and thank you so much for joining me. Today, we're going to be dissecting the game against the Oilers and just how disappointing of a loss it was, because now the playoff hopes and aspirations are slipping further and further away. And of course, we will wrap up the show with any news that has been on our radar and things we should look forward to. Make sure you are subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day. And let's jump right into this, because what was a must-win game was not a win. It was, in fact, an overtime loss. And I understand. The game kind of got off to an intense start because of a medical emergency that took place, like right behind the bench. Wishing nothing but good health and well wishes to that fan that experienced the medical emergency. So I think that, the things were not. It was a different type of momentum that was potentially guiding them. And I get it. That's fine. Whatever. But the loss was not for a lack of trying. I think that they all went out there and they tried. The thing is, you're not going to stop Leon Draisaitl. I don't care if it's his first game back after an injury. In fact, I knew the Flames were probably losing when it was announced that he would be returning to the lineup. So I guess the biggest thing is knowing, how you match up against elite talent like that. And you're going to face elite talent throughout the playoffs as well. And you have to hope you have someone to kind of match that, whether it be a strong, defensive forward, or, Dustin Wolf, or just something that goes your way. And unfortunately, it did not for the Flames. I thought that, it was a bummer that they didn't settle it in regulation. I think the Flames could have, but at least they get a point. That's really like the only positive I can take from it, because it was a hard-fought game, and it would have been a real shame had they walked away with nothing. Also, what was very intense was the emotions and physicality on the ice. They got going, and it was fair. I think everyone kind of, emotions got the best of people. I also just want to say that Michael Backlund did not turtle. Michael Backlund is like a week removed from coming back from a concussion. And I just, heaven forbid, a player protects their head. Heaven forbid. And, normally I wouldn't say that. Because, or I guess, I don't want to say I wouldn't say that, but I feel like we need to be a little more cognizant of what we're saying when we're talking about these players, because there was no way for him to fight back. He was being pummeled. And yes, your natural instinct is to cover your face and duck. Again, just coming back from a likely concussion. 36 years old. Should probably take that into consideration, but again, it's hockey. It feels like there's not always critical thinking there. But I expected there to be a lot more physicality following that scrap. I thought that, at least Klapko was going to do something. I thought that there would have been Corey Perry would have been back in the mix of things since he just loves to talk. But I guess not. And maybe that shows how disciplined either team is when it comes to that and not taking unnecessary penalties. If this was a year ago, do I think Pospisil would have tried to get involved? Yeah, absolutely. I don't think it would have been a fight. I think it would have been a not so clean hit. But at the end of the day, the Flames got a point. I guess that's all. No, it's not all you can ask for. All you can ask for is the Flames to score or to earn 2 points. Time is slipping away. There is not a lot of hockey left to be played. Tomorrow is April 1st. The Flames' regular season ends April 15th or 17th. It's not, yeah, April 15th. The 17th. The Flames are in LA. And that's it. That could be it for the season. Is it likely? We're going to talk more about that coming up next, but I think that, Braden Pahal scoring, kind of an accident sort of thing. Igor Sharangovich had a big game. He opened the scoring as well after being scratched against Dallas. And sometimes that is the wake-up call the player needs. And I guess I would just continue to watch that because he has the capability of scoring and being a decent forward. However, I don't think this streakiness is necessarily something fans should write off. I think it's something that they need to be cognizant of because he's on your team for the next 5 years. You have to figure out, what. I mean, you don't. You're a fan. You're watching the game. It's Ryan Huska's job to figure out the best opportunity to get him to succeed. It's that simple. I mean, if this man is a Jack Adams quality candidate, I guess that, these talking heads like to say he is, then he should be able to figure it out. And coming up next, we're going to talk about the playoff aspirations slipping further and further away as the Flames string together 2 losses. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. Stay in on the action, and with the tournament games happening almost every day, there is always something exciting to bet on. The FanDuel app is super simple and easy to use, and when you win, you can get paid instantly. There is no waiting around. If I can easily navigate the app, so can you. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the action of college hoops all tournament long. Visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. Your Calgary Flames every day. And this is not the conversation I want to be having. It's not. I think that this is such a bummer because of the amount of excitement there was of this overachieving Flames team. By overachieving, like looking at the expectations were set so low that sniffing the playoffs or playing meaningful hockey this late in the season seemed like a fairy tale. So there's a very good chance that the Flames playoff fate is sealed by Friday. They are not winning games. The gap is only growing. St. Louis, you aren't stopping St. Louis. I don't think anyone is stopping St. Louis. And, the gap between you and Minnesota is only continuing to grow. You're 7 points out. And every regulation loss, really every loss, has added up and come to this. So the games where, you let the other team come back, or you just let in a bad goal, or you couldn't score. Like it's really showing itself right now. And I don't think that it's necessarily it's really not a good thing. But at the same time, this team could still lose enough and be in the bottom 10 of the league. So like, it is such a weird position for them to be in. But it feels very Flames like. I think that Zary being out is so detrimental to this team. And I will never not be bitter about that happening. The fact that it's the same knee that was injured 2 months ago, not really a fan of that. I also don't really like that the Flames just aren't scoring more than 2 or 3 goals. An interesting stat that was on Sportsnet on Saturday night is that the Flames are 13-0 when they score more than 3 goals in a game. So they have to figure out a way to do that across every game the remainder of the season. That's a lot of scoring for a team that is last in goal differential. It's going to be tough. And you want everyone going out there and playing their best hockey. You want to go out there and leave it all on the ice and say that you really tried. But maybe you're also looking at VRBO bookings at home with your wife. Maybe Mexico's looking a little nice. Maybe Italy. Maybe Greece. I don't know. I really don't know where rich people vacation. I'm going to be so honest with you. I don't know where they go. But if the Flames continue to struggle, especially tonight against the Avalanche, which is very likely, the playoffs just become further and further away. And you're running out of time to pick up that extra slack, to make up that room. And you're hoping that you get lucky, but also the Wild just continue to fumble, to fall. And you can't really count on that. And like I mentioned, this team struggles scoring goals. So is it even worth taking the risk in the playoffs? Like, it feels so silly and so frustrating to want them to be in the playoffs because they've played so hard and so well this season. But then you look at like the logistics of this team and say, please end the season April 17th and we can celebrate opening night. Like, it's been a very long season, and that is the thing about the Flames. They keep you in it until the very end. They will break your heart. They will give you all the hope and expectation, but then come game 82, it's not what you wanted, and there's no more time. Next week, the Flames have 3 home games. And then that's it. They go to Anaheim, or I'm sorry. No. So Thursday they play the Ducks at home. Then Vegas comes to town on Saturday. And then you're back out in San Jose on Monday. Wednesday, you play in the Ducks. And then Friday, the Minnesota Wild come to the Saddle Dome. This is such an important game. You have to do it. And then after that, they're off on Saturday. And Sunday, the Sharks come to town, and then they wrap up their last home game against the Golden Knights on the 15th, which is not that far away. It's not. So for the Flames to be this far out of things at this very moment, I would say it's not very encouraging. There's not a lot of time left. There are few reasons to believe that this team could still do it. And like, if you have to put all your eggs in one basket with Dustin Wolf, then like, I feel like you maybe shouldn't be talking about the playoffs. But yet here we are. You can make a case for both. You really can. And I think that that's kind of the cool thing about this season, because either way, like, if your team fun, you win. And if your team tank, you could also win. Like, just enjoy the hockey. I really think it's that simple. I know that that's a bold statement, and maybe that's what we need to come back to. Sports are entertainment. You don't have to watch if you aren't enjoying the product on the ice. No one is making you watch this. Does it stink that, your team isn't highly competitive? Yes, of course. And that's quite literally what the Flames say they're trying to do. I think that they have to capitalize on these next contracts with Dustin Wolf, Coronado, and Zary. I think that, those three players are pivotal pieces of this next Flames generation, this next era, and what becomes of, the Scotia Place Calgary Flames hockey team. I think about the team that's going to be there when the doors open in 2027. That it feels like that's a long time away, but it's not. I mean, look at how quickly this season went. The season has come and gone. And we are just running out of time for the Flames to make up any ground and secure a playoff spot. And maybe that's okay. But coming up next, we're going to wrap up the show with some news that's on our radar and what else you should be keeping an eye out for this week here on Locked On Flames. Thanks everyone for tuning in to today's episode of Locked On Flames. Make sure you are following me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Just Belmosto. So I think I like to live by the words, no news is good news. Because if I sat here and stressed about Connor Zary's injury all day, I would probably drive myself crazy. But we know that nothing's broken. We know that they were doing further imaging. Could that just be the case and they're just saying, hey, we are just going to treat this as week to week? Or, I mean, this thought just popped into my head too. Maybe they haven't said anything because he hasn't had surgery yet. I don't want that to be the case. That would really stink, especially if the Flames are able to kind of close the gap, make the playoffs. I guess the biggest thing is that he is 100%, because I don't want him coming back if he's not 100%. That kind of wear and tear on your body is not good. He is too young and has far too much of a hockey career left in him to be doing this. And quite frankly, the Flames aren't good enough to like excuse it or justify it. I think that the biggest thing would just be getting him back to 100%. He suffered a lot. I don't want to say a lot of injuries. He had a few injuries while in the AHL, so he's not unfamiliar with the rehabbing process or the waiting game, which I think is like the most stressful part of this, because it doesn't matter how good you feel or how bad you feel. It's quite literally just waiting for things to get better or being able to resume skating, waiting to hear back from the team doctor, waiting to, see if you can do some minor conditioning, strength and conditioning. Like, what are your limitations? And I think that's what's so frustrating, because Connor Zary is such an integral part of this team, right? Great net front presence, fantastic finisher, great shot, quick hands, everything the Flames need in a forward. He is him. And for a young guy to suffer really like back-to-back knee injuries like this within a matter of 12 weeks is such a bummer. And you hope that he does it, like, it doesn't cause further problems down the line. So if he does need surgery, do it now so this isn't a problem in 6 years, because he didn't want to have surgery now, or whatever the case may be. I'm just talking about hypotheticals. But hopefully he is doing well. Hopefully, wake up later this week to a tweet notification saying that Connor Zary was skating on his own before morning skate. It would be nice. I'm not going to push my luck, but could be something. But in a little more positive news, the Flames did sign one of their draft picks from last year, Jake Battaglia, to an entry-level contract. So he led the team, his OHL team, in goals with 40 and 50 assists. And he is a pretty decent forward, I would say. It's great to see that these guys are still like interested in signing with the Flames. Obviously we don't really have much of a choice, but like, I guess it's nice to see that this team is also making an active approach to getting younger, to continuing the development of these players that they drafted. They're investing in homegrown talent or potential homegrown talent. It's okay. Like it's not necessarily the Dustin Wolf extension. It's not the Dustin Wolf extension you want to see, but it does give you something to look forward to and to continue to watch as the Flames continue to rebuild. How will he fit into this lineup? He clearly, so he hit 90 points this season, and I mean, obviously that doesn't necessarily translate to the NHL, but I think that it's a good start. So he is actually the first official spokesperson for the Canadian Mental Health Association's Sports Mental Health Awareness and Suicide Prevention Program. That's pretty neat. We know that community involvement is something that is pretty important to the Flames organization, and these players take pride in. So it's great to see that he's already getting his feet wet with that. And that's a pretty great cause to be part of. But that will do it for me here on today's episode of Locked On Flames. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope you have a fantastic day, and go Flames go, or go bottom out go. I mean, like, honestly, let's just finish this season. And make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We are here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day. And I will see you tomorrow.